Why did you remove it from the list? Is it because you hate George?
No, I didn't get pushed there.
This episode of Getting Table was brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLE to get 5% off any order over $100, one use only. Thank you to our Patreons for supporting us. Please consider becoming a tabler for $2 a month. You can listen to us live and get early access to all video content from the YouTube channel.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 162 of Getting Tabled with your host. He's 3-0 against COVID, the Bruce.
No, I've only
He's
had
on
it
3.
twice.
I thought
Oh,
you
two.
had it 3 times.
No, I had the flu recently, but yeah, it was COVID most recently. Yes, I am here. The whispers of demise were greatly exaggerated, and I've been trying to figure out what movie that quote's from, and I can't figure it out. But yes, I am here.
God.
I am not dead. Near to the lot of you. We also have the main man, the betrayer of friends, because he's not moving anywhere interesting anymore.
Oh.
It's Major Socks.
It's like betrayer friend. What did I do? No, that makes sense. Yeah, my opportunity to go move up by George is not going to happen most likely. So I'll find out where I'm moving to next here in about
It's
3
because
weeks.
George doesn't deserve friends.
Probably true.
Wow. Wow. That was rude.
Yes, it was.
And we got George, by the way. So who cares about George? Because no one wants to be his friend.
Well, someone should care about George because I just looked up who said that quote, and it's Mark Twain.
Ah. Why did I think it was from a movie? It's probably quoted in a movie at some point.
Because it's been quoted from,
Probably.
but it says the original source is Samuel Clemens.
Okay.
So
Anyways,
yeah. Welcome back, Bruce. You look well, actually.
I tried to
much
look
better.
well. I did brush my hair for you.
No, I mean like
Healthy.
getting like you don't look like you've been fighting an illness and look half asleep.
Yeah. So
You
last
just look half asleep.
last fortnight, I was very much in denial about because I came home on Saturday night and I kind of felt crap. It's fine. I'll just sleep and I'll be fine in the morning. And I woke up and I was ill. And I was like, no, I'm not coming, guys. You're going to have to cover for me. I think you guys got like 45 minutes notice.
If that, 20 or 30. But yeah, it's all good.
We got it.
Happens.
It's more notice than Socks and I got that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I talked a lot. George, we couldn't hear George at all. So,
I mean, you could. I just had to up the volume. So for anybody that kind of noticed the quality dropped last episode, we do apologise. There was a bit of a technical issue that I had to kind of fight. I was doing the editing for it, and I kind of fought the technology as much as I could to fix. Something went wrong with George's levels, so I had to kind of fix them manually, and there's only so much you can do post-processing without having
To quote the opening intro, I hope you're all entertained by my ineptitude.
exactly.
We should
Anyways.
do those at some point with new quotes.
I don't know. Mine's pretty solid.
Yeah, but there's been enough times where people have questioned if I've said something that's inappropriate. I think my yokai needs to be changed. And I
It's
know
like
that
the
Socks
original
hates
Bruce.
we're talking about something and something and something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Yokai is like the original Bruce quote. Like, it is
I
the
know.
OG.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
All right. Just to annoy Socks, we're going to go ahead and skip all the War Cradle stuff this week.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, fine,
definitely.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Socks, War Cradle, talk about it. Enlighten us.
Yeah, so Commonwealth is coming out later this month for Armoured Clash. So this faction is now getting its release. So for Commonwealth players out there, looking forward to this. So the first one we have is their Commonwealth Command and Conquest deck. We've seen all the other four factions. So this is the normal command deck.
Jog my memory. All the decks are the same except for the
just the backing.
Yeah.
The backing.
Okay,
Yep.
They're all the same. So yeah, doesn't matter which deck you use. If you want the standard deck that comes in all intro boxes, or if you want to get your faction specific deck, they're all the same. Just with the faction specific symbology on the backside.
Which also means
So
they're balanced.
Yeah. So next up, we got the Commonwealth introductory set. So this is once again about half of what you'll get in the main starter set, but just to kind of give you an idea of what you'll be getting, you've got your basic infantry, command infantry. You've got some war dogs. So
I really like the drills because there's a version of the drills where they're still coming out of the ground. That's awesome.
I like the one where like the back comes out and like flips up for like the rockets.
Artillery shells. Yeah.
That's a clever in theory that looks like it could actually work.
Shredder and Krang never thought of that. If they had it, they might have beaten those darn turtles.
Yeah.
No, because they're still Master Splinter.
And then I kind of like the reach to Attila the Hun, their step cavalry. I mean, with the bows, step outrider cavalries. It's the picture right after the drills. Kind of the Attila the Hun, kind of Mongolia, because Mongolia, if I remember correctly, is part of the Commonwealth. But then you got the main...
That horse is completely wrong. That is a draft horse. You wouldn't be, riding that and shooting a bow from it mounted. You'd be using that to haul a cart.
Anyways, talking about the big drill that is coming out of the ground that comes in your main faction starter set. So it's the Mirren Super Heavy Bore, and it does look pretty awesome. You got two variants you can do: transport version as well as the main bore. They both have transport. We'll see the Orbat for it probably here in about 3 weeks for the Commonwealth, and so we'll get the stats on everything. But some really cool stuff coming out for the Commonwealth. I kind of like their Tsar battle tanks with the big, huge wheels on the front, the little ones on the back.
I have a question for you, Socks, and this might be giving away some things you're going to talk about later. How thick is that quick start rules guide that comes in them?
I can pull it out. I'll show it during the hobby, but it's pretty. I'll pull it out when we're while someone else is chatting, because I don't want to go away from the podcast.
Right now. Quick start. You'll pull out the quick start.
That's right.
We're not that kind of channel.
And then the last thing we've got here is the Commenta Interceptor. So think of your MiG-15 from the Korean days. That's exactly what this thing looks like.
And it's a really nice looking ship too.
It does look very nice for their aircraft.
And you don't have to worry about, do I want to keep things clear or do I want to paint over them? It's just resin, so you can just paint over it. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a good thing.
So, which I have my Messer Interceptor for my Imperium, so I'll show that during our hobby time. So, because I got all my Imperium stuff this on Thursday, actually. So,
I love the giant drill too. I know you mentioned it already, but I'm only just seeing it on screen now. The giant, the giant set. Now, hang on, I've got to get it.
It's coming out like this, and there's a little flap that opens in the bottom.
Yeah,
that's.
So the starter set is the giant big one, and the introductory set is the little mini one.
You get some of the smaller ones in the main starter set. You just get twice as much in the.
And then plus the extra.
Plus the big guy. I do like the Wing Hustler tread bikes. We saw some artwork of those guys, the guys with big, huge feather plumage on their bikes.
Yep.
You get a couple of those in both sets. So.
Oh, there's different versions
really
of
nice.
The heavy borer too.
Yeah.
It's so good. I really, really like this set. Warcrate will need to stop making awesome things.
My son will probably be getting this one because he has his Commonwealth for Dystopian Wars, and my other son has Enlightened, so that might be something they may be asking or getting for Christmas. That way we can play a few battles.
Yeah.
Instead of just going against my own Imperium back and forth. But some good stuff coming out from Armoured Clash.
Yeah, no, they're doing really good stuff. And the scenery, I mean, we've touched on the scenery before. It's the same scenery we've seen already, but it's really nice stuff.
Yeah.
Far more detailed than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have kind of a bit of a sour note. I could have moved this to the end of the episode, but I kind of thought, no, you know what? I think I'd like to get this over and done with.
It kind of shed some light into the activity of the last couple months, I think.
I also think it's another good example of, because not all of this is great, but it is kind of one of those things of, yes, this is how you do business as well. When things go wrong, you just say that it's gone wrong and you just fix it.
So Degenesis, one of the interesting games I did back it from CMON, and it had an interesting little addition where you could buy the 18 and older character pack where there was full-on nudity on the minis. That campaign has been canceled.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read a couple of excerpts here. So they were working with a company called Six More Vodka, SMV, here on out. While they were working on the production, they had just completed vac trays and are getting ready to work on the minis and stuff like that. They received a demand from SMV for a sum of over the total campaign value, inclusive of advances CMON had already paid. This has also included a number of expenditures that were not part of our agreement. We have held up our end of the contract, paid SMV advances as agreed, and continue to dedicate our own resources to bring this project to its current point. CMON has officially fulfilled all contractual and financial obligations to SMV for the Genesis Clan Wars to date. And so, per that, the Six More Vodka Company was wanting even more money beyond what was agreed upon in the initial campaign. So what this means, the campaign's canceled. CMON's not continuing it. CMON is doing a full refund. Which, back in the days of, like some of the EU, Mythic Games and whatnot, if you wanted a refund after the campaign ended, it was that amount minus a percentage for processing and blah, 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 whatever. CMON said full refunds. Don't contact us. We'll contact you, but we're doing full refunds. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out.
I'll guarantee you everybody will be contacting them anyway.
Yeah. The other thing that is interesting here is this issue started back in February where this legal dispute started happening. So I'm wondering how much of this was also included in the issue of they're selling intellectual properties because they need to raise a quick amount of capita to essentially get the money back in the bank so they could refund this project, because I'll pull it up here real quick. Oh, I guess it wasn't that big of a campaign. It was only $330,000-ish.
Yeah, but the problem is that they've already spent a large amount of that cash. So yeah, you are 100% right. Like, they've had to sell stuff off to be able to do the refunds, because there's no getting that money back now.
Yeah, they had to, they gave the money to Six More Vodka that, they wanted more money. They've already spent all, so all that money is probably, it is essentially gone. Paying the other company, doing the work on their end to get the game going. There's maybe a sixth of that left that was going to go for the molding and the actual final production run that hasn't been finalized yet or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not going to blame CMON on this. I don't think this is not any sort of mismanagement. This is not a Mythic issue where they've ran into a legal dispute with someone they had entered a contract with, and the contract is now broken. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming you got it pulled up on your screen, Bruce. And this was not sent out like the update CMON did. Anyone can go find that update. What Bruce has was only sent to people on the campaign. So I did receive this email and pass it along so Bruce could pull up on the screen so everyone can see it.
So, Six More Vodka have responded to this. It's probably worth noting the way that these have both been written have very clearly been written by lawyers. I think it's probably important to say that because both of these have been very, very careful with their wording and way more careful than most people would be. As we've seen in the past you mentioned Mythic, I would mention Secret Weapon, like that. The amount of things that got said during those disputes that should have been written by a lawyer and wasn't. And yeah, so this email that George received doesn't really dispute any of the stuff that CMON said. There is a very important bit at the end, however, do you want to read that, George?
Yeah, it says, in the meantime, we can confirm only that the contract hasn't indeed been terminated by us, a step which was not taken lightly after extensive attempts to resolve matters in a more amicable manner. We will attempt to resolve this situation as quickly and directly as possible so we can continue trying to bring the Genesis Clan IP wars to life.
So, yeah. I mean, look, Six More Vodka are the owners of the license. The downside of working with a license is this is the sort of stuff that can happen because you don't own it. And contractors generally have them written up so that they can pull out of things if they see something going wrong. Regardless of the reasons why they chose to do it, it doesn't really matter at this point whether Six More Vodka had a good reason or not. There was something they didn't like. It's their property. They're allowed to pull out of it.
Well, the issue I see with them, trying to bring this to life now is they were working with one of the largest manufacturers of board games in the world.
Yeah.
And that manufacturer said they kept wanting more money, and we said, no, there's no more money. This is how much was raised. This is how much there is. We've paid it to you. And through all the legal channels, that's what CMON posted. So,
yep.
I don't think CMON's going to post anything that is, straying from any of the truth. And then you got this company saying, yeah, we terminated this contract, but we're still going to try to get this game made. Okay, who's going to work with you now?
Well, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, unless they're going to throw money in themselves to get it done, but I don't see them doing
here's
that.
the thing. Here's the thing. They own the intellectual property. Whatever game development and system, that's owned by CMON. So they're going to have to start over.
They're also not a board game developer.
Exactly. Yeah, so whatever CMON has done to turn it into a board game, CMON still owns that. Yeah. That's still CMON's. So they've got all the artwork and everything. They have to go find another company who has to develop a game again.
Yeah.
Because if they just, CMON did this and they release it like that, they're going to get sued by CMON for stealing their game concept.
Depends on the way the contract was written. The contract may be written that the mechanics and stuff in the game belongs to them as well. It depends on how it was written. I know that's how Hasbro tried to write the contract when somebody was looking at doing a Transformers game that never happened, because it's the reason that they didn't go ahead with it.
Yeah, see, I'm going to say that, board game manufacturers, your mechanics are what make your company, regardless of what the IP is. Because, as you said, a lot of the stuff is just a Zombicide reskin. With the exception of the fact that, Asmodee has bought some of that stuff, CMON owns that, those mechanics.
Well, you can't really... The problem with mechanics is that people can just take them and use them whenever they want anyway. Like, you can't really copyright them. Well, you can't really copyright a gaming mechanic. You can copyright the game itself and how everything works together, but not the mechanics themselves. Hence why there's all of the rip-offs of Zombicide.
Yeah, some of them you can. There are some game mechanics. And if they were to go through and it's an exact clone of what CMON had developed, and they just release it like that, that's...
Either way, given how messy this has clearly gotten, it's there's clearly some things in this that should have been worked out before the campaign went live. We don't know the reasoning behind them asking for money. I mean, there was obviously reasons for it, but I don't know.
Per the statement of CMON, we paid them everything that we were contractually obligated for, and they asked for more.
And they CMON have not disputed that.
Yeah. So, like you said, it looks like these were written by lawyers, and the announcement by CMON says, we have contractually fulfilled all obligations.
The only thing they disagree on is who stopped talking with each other. They're both claiming that the other party stopped being transparent. And, CMON and SMV have both made claims about the other not communicating anymore.
Well, this is my opinion. The fact that CMON again says we, fulfilled all financial obligations of the contract, and if Six More Vodka said we need more money, and CMON said no, and communication stopped there because of that, I don't care who stopped communicating. The contract was fulfilled. If Six More Vodka is not fulfilling it, that's on them for not holding up their end of the contract.
Yeah.
And again, they are not disputing what CMON have said. There's no part of this where they're saying this is not true. To the point where, like I mentioned, this is clearly written by a lawyer, and I stand by that. This is written by a lawyer, not the person that owns the company. It's written by a lawyer. And you can tell that by the fact that they both say, we poured our hearts, souls, and significant resources. It's quite literally a copy and paste of what the other one said.
Yep. The other thing that's worth mentioning... where's my email? So that email came into me at 3:52 yesterday morning, and the update for Clan Wars that CMON posted was a day earlier. So CMON posted this, and then I honestly believe just Six More Vodka scrambled. Hence why theirs is so short, just to get something out to try to cover their butt of we're not the bad guys here. Which even in the response, it's clearly showing that we're the bad guys. We're the ones that terminated the contract.
Yeah, like I said, we don't really know the reasoning, but why they've terminated the contract. So there is a bit of grey area in there. But you would think if it was a problem with the sculpts or the mechanics or the artwork or something that would have come up before the campaign. But I don't know.
Let me see here. I have the tracker up.
If you look at the updates, they were a significant way through this. All of the back molds were done.
So looking at the game project updates, we are looking at the Genesis Clan Wars. Development, art and graphics, and sculpts were all completed.
Yep.
The next step was start creating the molding, proofreading files, and mass production.
Which is my point.
Getting the game in. Yeah.
And what's the one thing that we know about licenses? You can't show anything off when it comes to sculpts until it's been approved.
Yep.
There's obviously more to this, but from a surface level, there's not a lot that SMV have. We don't know their reasoning behind the decisions they've made, but there's not a lot that we can see here that makes them look like the good guys.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Still not a good update for CMON, though. This is, 4 or 5 things in a row now that's like, they are not looking healthy.
So, yeah, I think this is the 4th update now where it's like, things are not looking great. The only thing, and I will still stand by this because we, as, the public, are still getting constant updates on the situation regardless of how bad it is.
Yep. Like, they could have dragged this out. They didn't. Well, they've dragged it out since February, but they could have continued dragging this.
So.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
shall we move on?
Shall we?
Let's talk about something more positive. Like I said, I kind of wanted to get that over and done with because, it's just all negative. Wargames Atlantic have some new stuff coming out because, you know, it's another day ending in Y, and therefore we have something new coming out from Wargames Atlantic. That's not.
Was that the release schedule? Days that end with
Every
Y?
day.
Yeah. So we have some Satyr Brutes, which is kind of cool because it's not something you really see very often. I mean, they're beastmen, I suppose, but like they're going more mythic origins.
I was going to say Greek mythology.
Yeah. And they look brilliant. Like, every time I see something coming out of Wargames Atlantic, like, aesthetics, obviously, like, if you're not into Greek mythology, then this isn't going to do much for you. I mean, if you want to do something for sci-fi, this isn't going to do much for you. But the sculpting on this is, at the price that they're aiming for, like, these are being sold for quite a cheap price, actually.
Do you know what
Really
they're giving me
good.
the feel of?
What?
The Harryhausen stop animation monsters from Clash of the Titans.
Oh yeah, that's deliberate.
To me it's a very dated sculpt. It's a very dated pose. It's all, but then there's that reminiscence of like, I remember the first time I watched that movie and Hooter the owl was flying around and
Yeah.
McGonagall was she looked pretty dang good.
All of the classic fantasy stuff is trying to go with that sort of vibe, to the point where the skeletons they did are the Greek dry skeletons from that movie. I mean, they're not, but inspired by that movie.
Yeah.
It's very much a deliberate aesthetic choice. Same with the goblins, really, though you don't really see the goblins as much in this. We have looked at them previously, but they are very much an old school looking goblin.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sprue here, the sprue pictures, and first of all, they could have done a different background that, like, contrasted way more with the plastic.
Yeah, true.
But again, we're getting a pretty good look at these sprues, and they're
Full.
pretty clean. I mean,
Yeah. Good signs for drop squad commander.
Oh, no kidding, right? Yeah,
Well, this is who does the plastic for it.
Yeah, well, just looking at like some of the sprue points, right? On the very bottom of the mini, okay, that's easy to sand flat, no big deal. On the legs, okay, that's a little bit of a, but then you got the arm joints. Yeah, you can shave those down and like you're gluing the arms on, so those will be pretty easy to cover up too. Like they've gone through and they very intentionally have made sure that all the sprue points are somewhere that will be easy to
shave off,
clean up for gluing.
Yeah, no, that they've made some good decisions here. It's a really nice looking sprue. The miniatures, like some of the pictures of these miniatures are massively zoomed in to the point where the photo's becoming grainy, and they're still doing it that way to show you the detail on the mini, which is really nice. I would probably say, hey guys, just take a closer photo, but that's just me.
You use a macro lens.
Yeah. We also have some markets and barricades, which is, I don't know, either really exciting or kind of like, really? Is this what we're looking at? Depending on how you look at it. But I like scenery. Also, the detail again on this is really nice. Not something that would fit
good
on
scatter terrain.
Yeah, it's good scatter terrain for a fantasy game. Well, 28mm.
Yeah.
Fantasy game. I mean, you could maybe make arguments modern day and say that it's just a poor village or something somewhere, but I would probably just stick to fantasy with this, like Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy and.
Yeah. Well, the fact is, like, they have trays of food, trays of fish, bread, like.
I was going to say, any of your 18th or 12th century, 13th century games. I know there's not a lot out there, but any medieval game this would fit in well.
Yeah.
I would even argue, like, depending on, like, even like late 16th, even 17th century.
Yeah.
It is a great set of scatter. I would almost say it's more suited for a Dungeons and Dragons campaign than it is minis.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
wargaming.
yeah. Like you could make a really good, maybe not a good tavern setting, but a good market stall setting out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
A city centre. It's they've done really well here. So yeah, that's the new stuff coming out of Wargames Atlantic. Yeah, no, I really like what they're doing. I'm really excited to see more of the Drop Squad stuff. Although it'll be a while before we see more of that, but still. We have some new stuff coming out of GCT, so it's Bushido news time. I always get excited for Bushido news time.
No, you don't.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I'm gonna have to side with Socks on that. I think they're paying you to be that excited. Yeah, you know how much you gets paid to be that excited, Socks? A pence.
So we start off with The Wretched. So this is a Cult of Uri starter set. And this is so good. They continue their thing of having the best looking skeletons in miniature gaming, in my opinion.
Well, these aren't just skeletons, they're skeletons and zombies.
Yeah. It's really, really cool.
And I would even argue, like, when you click on the image and you get to the 5, I would argue the one on the left is neither skeleton nor zombie. With the flame leg base thing, I'd say he's more of like a demon spirit kind of thing. You know, the way he looks.
I think on the far right, because you got the skeleton at the front, and then, like you said, you got another demon riding his back, kind of.
Oh, I missed that.
Him.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
No,
Yeah,
neither did I.
Yeah,
he's almost puppeteering the skeleton.
Oh, that just makes me love this more.
That is I didn't even catch that. Good eye, Socks.
Oh,
that is fantastic. Okay,
no, I don't need it.
So, I'm gonna throw this out there. That is the most creative, I think, mini of 2025 with the demon spirit possessing the skeleton and manipulating it like that. That is out there.
That alone makes me want to paint this. I don't need it, but that alone makes me want to paint this. It's so you could do so much with that.
So good.
My assumption is that
just
they
those two
are
images?
puppeteering the zombies.
I'm gonna have to agree with that. Like looking at that, I think I look at that one on the right. I think that's the whole theme of they're not zombies, they're not skeletons, they're demons, and they're puppeteering whatever they're getting their hands
whatever
on.
host they have.
If you read the blurb, it talks about how this used to be a great peacock clan, and about how members of the cult don't necessarily understand the serving the same dark masters. So it looks like these have basically been the zombies are people that were cursed because of what they've done and stuff, and they're kind of just serving in the afterlife now. It has a line there near the end where immortality also has its advantages, however, and Uriah can always make use of one combat trained group with nowhere else to turn. So it's all dark tides and horrors, and it's good. Oh, I love this so much. Well, now we're going to talk about lesser,
especially that one on the far right.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I really want to paint that mini. We have a really cool looking bat here. Unfortunately, it's nowhere near as cool as a demon puppeteering a skeleton, because it can't be. But Master Bat is. I really like this. It's really
Make sure
cool.
you enunciate that very carefully too.
Master Bat.
Master Bat.
Yep. Really, really cool looking mini. This one actually does have the card with it, so you can have a look at it there on screen. 13 rice. It's got 3 attack. It's got 3 ranged. Excuse me, not that it's got a ranged attack. It can move 6. Yeah. Looks decent. We also have a new bear. So Brother Bear will be happy. He now has a third mini that his friends won't let him play with. We kind of knew this one was coming because this one got teased. It's like a frozen ice bear. So it's actually a kami. It's an ice kami of reflection. But this is a cheaper bear. It's not as terrifying as the other two that are very, very scary on the tabletop. But I do still think this is going to be quite nasty. It's got rend. Doesn't gain slow. Like it's a mini that's going to be. It's a mini that you can have a lot of fun painting. Painting icy stuff is challenging, but challenging in a good way, I feel.
Argue like painting ice stuff is probably one of the easiest things to do.
Well, it's blues, and then you just highlight up to white, right?
Yeah, just you do like
or contrast it.
Well, I was gonna say like you do like a solid blue, then you take a shade darker and you hit the crevices, a shade lighter, and you hit the high spots, and then you just take a series of blues and whites and dry brush lighter and lighter and lighter until you're done. And then go through and hit like the eyes, the claws, and the teeth for some more detail to make them slightly different, and you're done.
Yeah. So there you go, Ben. You now have another mini that you need to paint. Given that you seem to paint everything, you monster. I look forward to hearing whether your friends let you play with this one or not. We also have, because we had there's a new box set that was on the run sheet for last week. And these are a couple of characters that kind of get added on to that. So not last week, last fortnight. It might have been the episode before, I don't remember. But these are, like, they're wearing dresses made of, I want to say, I don't know, it's like religious symbols that's kind of plastered all over them. It's very unique looking. It's like Space Marines turned up to 15.
Yeah, with the seals of purity. I don't know. Are they prayers?
There might be. I don't know. I mean, there might be a description of what they are in the thing, but all funeral processions have wallers. A diamond. Okay, so these are like funeral procession type people. Interesting.
Professional mourners.
Yeah. So we have
So
Miho.
they're probably prayers.
Yeah, probably. We have Miho and Tama. Miho is the one that you can't see the face. And Tama is the one where you can see the face. 8 rice apiece. One of them quite literally has an ability called Tears for the Dead. So yeah, you're right. They're professional mourners. Interesting idea. Certainly. It's always good to see more things on the tabletop. If you go back to new and special, you can open up the Passing of the Night, which is the box set that they're in addition to, and you guys might remember seeing them previously. It's a really, really cool look. I don't remember if that's the episode that I wasn't part of or if it was one before, but it was definitely on the run sheet previously. It's just really cool looking box set. And then finally,
2 episodes ago.
Yeah, might be
2, maybe 3. Anyways,
and then finally, we have some stuff for George. Though whether George gets excited is another question. He didn't get excited last time we talked about puppies from space. I mean, it is just Space Wolves. Who really cares about Space Wolves?
So this is kind of exciting because some of these sculpts, like I don't know all off the top of my head, but I do know Nalgel Stormcaller. This is a mini that has seriously needed an update. Like, I remember seeing him back when he was pewter.
Yep.
And so the fact that we're now getting some of these, old classic, Space Wolf characters that are forever old over in plastic is awesome. This Logan Grimnar,
Logan Grimnar is the highlight here, I think, as he should be.
I'm not even mad about that rock he's on. Like,
Wow.
not even.
Wait, where's my
Yeah,
chair?
like-
I need to sit down.
I don't. Where's? Can we get that on recording? Oh wait, we do.
Yeah. No, because I mean, like, the way that is, it's just like, that's exactly what he'd be doing is like, he'd be standing up to where he can survey the battlefield, making himself a target to, direct the troops, and like that's exactly what he would do. Then you have like Rock Fist, like all these are, there's an optional assembly for Rock Fist where you can make it look like he's actually throwing his hammer.
It is worth noting we have seen Rockfist before. That's one of the ones that they previewed earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And I believe it's the throwing one that they actually... I actually prefer the throwing one over the normal one. But the throwing one, I believe, is the one that they actually teased.
Yeah. Then, of course, you got your Wolf Priest, which... That's
probably
such a
number
good
2
looking
for
Wolf
me
Priest.
behind Grimnar. That's probably my second favourite.
And just the Wolf Guard battle leader. Just a generic battle leader. Oh my god, that looks great.
It's a lieutenant.
Yeah, and so it's generic. It's not like,
Yeah.
Grimnar or Rockfist or whatever. But it's like, we've got some new Terminators here. Looks like we've got some new Fresian Wolves. That are
Finally.
part of, they're not terrible.
They are very old, though.
Yeah, the Blood Claws, I don't think those need to be done just because it's the basic standard troop, like whatever. Same with the Grey Hunters. But what this does get me really excited for is Leman Russ.
Yes, yeah. Although we haven't
Is
really heard yet, but I mean, hopefully.
So back when we had what's his face, the Red Magnus
the Red.
who
Lehman Russ,
did
the reason everything went to crap.
Magnus did everything wrong.
No. It's all Lehman Russ's fault. Everything is Lehman Russ's fault. He screwed it up.
No, he was just following his orders. He was told by the God
He was
Emperor to go
looking
do
for
this.
excuses to kill things.
Yeah, there you go. That's why the Emperor put him in the position that he put him in. But so when we had like the Demon Primarchs coming out, we had Mortarion and the Red, and then we had Girly Man at that point, and there's lots of speculation of who's next, and then I want to say we got what's his name? The Dark Angels.
The
Lion. He came out, and it's just like, because there's the whole, Dark Angel, Space Wolves, like, bad blood between each other kind of thing. Like, when's the next Primarch coming? And then we got Slanesh and Khorne.
Yep.
And back, it was Mortarion, I think, was the most recent one of those. I was doing a lot of like digging through the internets, and there was a mention where someone had said, "Oh yeah, this sculpt has been done for a little bit now."
Yep.
So that was in reference to Lehman Russ. So they already had all this other stuff done, and they're just doing the timeline. So, in theory, because now we've got the 4 Demon Primarchs, we've got 2 for the Imperium. Lehman Russ, I believe, is supposed to be the next one coming out.
And from a release perspective, like, because the thing originally was people was questioning who was going to come first, whether it was Lehman Russ or whether it was the Lion. Personally, I feel like releasing the Lion first makes more sense, because then it adds more depth to, oh, he's not just back, he's coming back because the Lion's back, and he still believes that the Lion did the wrong thing.
Well, the other thing, too, is Lehman Russ, he went into the warp to go fight Chaos.
Yep.
Like, he's like, I'm going to take the battle of them. Well, the 4 Demon Primarchs have left the warp now, so it's time for him to come out of the warp and, do what he's been told to do, just kill things.
Here's the question, though. How much grey do you think there's going to be around him? Because, in theory, the warp should have twisted him. In theory.
So what I'm kind of hoping for is so the Wolfen, like the gene seed got perverted there, and even though they should have been exterminated for like, oh, the gene seed went bad. No, they can kill things really good. I kind of want to see some of that with Layman Russ, where it's like, he's got some of the more wolf-like, looking appendage now. Like maybe his ceramite armor, it stops at the knees because he's got wolf haunch legs now.
Or like werewolf type, because they're werewolves. Let's be clear. Like that is what the Wolfen are.
Yep.
But I'd like to see him still holding on to a little bit of his humanity, a little bit, so that there's always the question about how corrupted he is. I mean, he would always believe that he's the hero, as he should, because that's. But it would be nice to kind of be able to keep some of that question there, because that's what makes 40k great. My favourite faction is the Blood Angels, right? Yes, I own Kroot. I love Kroot. My favourite faction has always been the Blood Angels. The reason that they're so cool to me is because there's just as many arguments about how they're twisted as there are about how loyal they are. I mean, they are arguably the most loyal faction, but they do the wrong thing all the time and nobody knows about it. It's really cool. That's what he needs to be.
I think it's going to be the same way. I think he'll be like literally on the verge of like, he's corrupted by chaos. He needs to be taken out. And he's like, no, I am the chosen of the Emperor, and spouting all of his ideology while he's bashing your skull in, while you're trying to eliminate, heresy. He's like, I am not heresy, you are, and you will die. And he's still doing the job he was appointed to. Like, I believe that's how dedicated he is, that no matter how corrupted he is, he will still fight, for the Emperor.
He will do what Guilliman didn't, which is actually uphold the original law.
You mispronounced Gully Man.
I know. He essentially decided to play ball, despite knowing the truth. Russ won't do that.
No. So I mean, yes, I'm excited for the special character minis because again, these are the ones that need to be redone. It's like the same with those Blood Angel ones that you were excited about. Like, these need to be done. We needed a new, what was his name with the vampire cloak? Mephiston or whatever.
Oh, Mephiston. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that
was
sculpt came out.
Ago.
It was, but still, it was so good. And it was so needed. And now look at Grimnar, right?
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's been so needed. And now we have it. And it's like, oh, and the same thing was happening with the Dark Angels. And what happened with the Dark Angels? We got the Lion.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, if it not this calendar year, early next calendar year, we get Layman Russ.
I have a feeling that it's not going to be until next edition, personally. I know that's not what people want to hear, but I don't feel like it's going to happen until next edition, because they seem to be releasing one every edition.
That's
from a
fair.
loyal perspective.
That is true. Well,
or it could be the end of this edition. I mean, we're only going to be 2 years away from a new edition at this point.
It seems like every other year GW's pushing editions on us now. So
they would be doing it every year if they had their choice.
Yeah, yeah. The best way to find out is when the Codex comes out and flip through it. Oh, there's Layman Russ stats.
Yeah, right. Socks. What is your favourite sculpt out of all the ones on the Space Wolf page?
I would have to go with Grimnar still.
Grimnar still?
Yeah.
So if we were twisting your arm and we were forcing you to buy something, that's the one that you would buy with your own money?
Possibly.
Nobody's saying that you are actually going to buy it. I'm just like, if you had to buy one of these with your own money, that's the one you would buy?
Yeah. I just like the the way the wolves look, flanking him on both sides, just ready to just attack whoever.
I like the fact that he has like the dire wolf type look as well.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he looks.
They are so much bigger.
Well, he has that look of, don't cross the old man in the profession where, the men die young.
Yeah.
Like the sculpt on his face, the way they paint it, it looks at you. You could just see that he's seen tens of thousands of people die.
Yeah.
I may just have to get him just to have him.
Yeah. It's something that every Space Wolf player should have, I believe. Yeah, really good. Really, really good looking set for this. So they are on... This is the preview from last Sunday, so they're on pre-order. I don't know if this is pre-order this weekend or next.
I'm actually looking right now.
While you're doing that, I'm going to grab my rulebook.
Here's something funny.
Must be next.
Unless I'm stupid. Oh, there it is. If they had it in bold, I couldn't see Space Wolves.
Yeah, it's next weekend.
So American prices, Stormcaller and Rockfist are $45 each, and I'm guessing they're on 32 mil bases. Grimnar is $70.
Are they actually up?
They're up for pre-order, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so he's the same price as what Gulliman and everything was. Which makes sense, even though he's not as... I mean, the base makes up for the fact that he's not as big. The base and the wolves.
Yeah.
So in Australia, that's $120.
Good grief.
Ah. Sorry. Apologies for that. 70 USD to 70 USD to AUD. It's not far off. It's roughly 15 Australian dollars more than it should be according to conversion, which is not entirely fair, but it is what it is. I think that's about right.
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
So Socks famously said that he doesn't want to talk about anything and that everything he received over this last 2 weeks sucks and he doesn't want any piece of it. I remember him saying that. Do you remember him saying that, George?
I do.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So
See
yeah,
you,
I got finally got my Imperium Armoured Clash order from Valhalla Hobby. So
I like the fact that you're saying
sponsors.
finally, when the reason that you didn't have it is that it didn't exist yet.
Well, and it was on back order, so they were on back order. So, but I got the starter set.
Nice.
I got the introductory set. I got another infantry box. Sorry for the glare. Let me minimize this so it's not as potent. Those are the quick start rules. So,
Okay. Yep.
very compared to the main rule book, which is you can sell definitely quick start, which is nice. So I got all that, and then I also got the Messer fighter. Put him together.
I still love the look of that mini with the backwards wings.
Yeah, I do too. And then here's the body and the head of Chunky Boy. So he'll be about 5 inches tall overall. But then I also have been playing Black Seas back here on my table, and with Black Seas, Hail Caesar, and Black Powder, my American Civil War stuff, they all have the ability to have green troops or regular troops, and veteran-style troops. So if you have brand new troops in the game, if in a campaign setting, they're not going to be as good as veteran troops. And so I try to figure out how to designate those on the board without having to have notes down on everything. So I decided to order 3 different colors of little glass tokens from Chisix.
Yeah.
Green, red, and blue. Green representing the irregular, green brand new troops, whatever, and so on. But also, no, I'm not getting into this at all. I only got it because of something that I'm about to show you. But I did some painting yesterday.
So this is the new game that he's going to be painting?
No, I'm not painting it up. So I got a little orc figurine because I went on Thursday night, went and bought some new paints.
Yeah.
I got some Fanatics.
Ah, nice. And that's the one that comes with the box. Yeah.
It comes with the box set. So I got some speed paints and I got the Fanatic Metallics. And I am liking these paints so far.
I am a huge fan of the speed paints. They are.
Oh, how are you
best way to
liking your
start.
redgrass
Handle?
painting handle? Yeah,
I really like it. I do like it.
I don't like
So
mine.
yeah, you don't like yours?
No, because I don't own one.
Oh, okay. No, I like it. It fits pretty well in my hand with the ergonomic handle on it, so it's kind of nice. And being able to rotate it right around on the little spindle is also handy.
Nice.
So, but yeah.
So you heard it here first, folks. Next month, Sox is going to be showing off his full Age of Sigmar army.
No, I'm not. But I know you've gotten some stuff, Bruce, because you're finally getting historicals, which is amazing. I'm not the only one now.
I can't show that off, though, because it's not here yet.
I know it's not here yet, but he's getting historical, folks. He's getting World War II.
The Joker that I sent to our to our chat, as well as the gaming with the guys chat, was I've now officially turned old. I just went out and bought historical miniatures on purpose.
So what'd you get?
Well, the miniatures that I bought were ones that we've actually looked at as part of an indie for a while, and I'd actually said at that point that I'm going to buy them at some point. So now I'm going to get these words wrong if I don't look it up. So let's bring up the website. So I put an order down for the Volts Grenadier starter set.
Volts Grenadiers. Yep.
I'd been tossing up between them and the Fallschirmjägers for quite a while, and I quite like the idea of playing with the Fallschirmjägers, but there's not as much tactically with like the miniatures that you can buy. They don't have as many for that as they do this. Without me having to go out and buy from other ranges. So I got that. I also got a couple of individual characters. I don't remember exactly which ones, but I also got... there's reinforcements, which is like a pack of 2 miniatures. And I got the MG42 team. So, giant, massive machine gun.
Machine gun, yeah.
And then I got 2 individual characters. One was... Is it Wolfgang Schmidt? No. It must be Lud. I got Ludwig Greyer, which is a grenadier. And I got somebody else that is a sniper. Rupert Schneider.
Nice.
Rupert Schneider is a mini that's kind of just standing there. He's not really doing anything. He's just kind of holding a gun. He's like the most generic pose you've ever seen. I could actually bring this up on screen for people, I suppose.
Especially for a sniper who's not laying down. Most of the time when you see snipers, they're usually laying on the ground.
Yeah.
In their firing position.
It's a really, really, really nice looking mini. I really like it. But it's just a standard looking pose. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be. Not everything has to be like super posed and tactical and everything.
Yeah.
Oops, I accidentally added something to my cart rather than clicking on the image. So the starter set is one of the ones we looked at. It had the really cool looking, like the piles of wood terrain that came with it, because these are the ones where it comes with half a table of terrain and everything with it as well. I'm genuinely really excited for this. It's a game I've played before. I already know the game quite well. And I just got to a point where I'm like, I want to own some stuff for this game so I can just paint it and pull it out. I haven't bought any paints to paint them specifically yet. I'm in two minds. Part of my mind is doing what I was joking about last time, which is deliberately painting them not to be historically accurate so that people's skin will crawl. But there's also a part of me that's like, you know what? I wouldn't mind actually challenging myself and actually trying to paint them properly. I haven't. Army Painter released those boxes recently of historically accurate colours, and I'm genuinely tempted to buy the German one. I've added it to cart 3 times over the last couple of days, and I just haven't purchased it yet. Because the other part of me is like, I could just try and get it close enough with speed paint rather than painting it traditionally. Because then way it's done, it's easy, it's done, and then I can go back to doing Entropy City stuff that I'll show off shortly. But yeah, I'm in two minds. The other mind I'm in is like, I know they don't look right, but I could totally try to paint them up to look like Cobra Troopers. Because that'd be fun.
Yeah. Either way, it's good to see that I'm not the only one sticking around in historicals now. I've got a buddy now on the podcast.
I mean, technically, I do own a box of pirate minis that are historical, but the box I've only opened it up. I opened them on the channel. I got really excited for it, and it's never left the box ever again because I have so many things. George wants to show something off before I continue.
Well, no, I was just going to say, when it comes to historical, there is a game I do want to get. It is a historical game, but I don't know how historical it is because it didn't actually happen yet. But it's the Team Yankee World War III.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we're only a few weeks away from it.
But I was going to say, yeah, we might be right around the corner from that, and the way things are going.
Is that a Team Yankee thing that you're holding, or?
No. Part of the reason why I asked Socks about his red grass is because I did mess around with my my painting handle last couple weeks too. So I wanted to show off a couple things I figured out about it. But continue, Bruce.
All right. Well, I've been doing a bit of painting for Entropy City, as I kind of teased. I did show off these that I opened last time. This is a box for from TT Combat of, like they call them, back alley accessories. This is the original one. So this was originally, it's a ruined couch that I've painted up to look as 80s as I possibly can. Like, this is painted up to look like a cheap vinyl couch that's just gone. It's not looking healthy. And I've got a homeless man sleeping on it because, well, Entropy City is the sort of place where you would expect to find that. I also have a bus stop. This is not the bus stop that you've seen previously. I bought 2 of these. I just finally built the second one. And I need to... This is not finished. Obviously, I need to dry brush this up a bit more. But we have a very old broken TV sitting on the bench there and a homeless man sleeping underneath it. There's a pile of rubbish in the corner that you can't quite see. That's a trash bag here. I've been trying to do some more scatter terrain just for to make the city feel more alive. I built these yesterday. These are shipping containers from Knights of Dice. So I built these up yesterday and then spray painted them last night. It's mostly dry. They're a little bit tacky still, so I might put them back outside after the podcast. Just because that's just that little bit tacky still.
Mm-hmm.
And I spray painted that up. I haven't done anything more with this yet. Obviously, I need to weather it and everything. This is also from Knights of Dice. This is meant to be at the top of a building, and it's meant to be an elevator shaft. Or the top of a staircase, I suppose. They call it an elevator shaft, though. But to me, I think this could easily just be a giant storage area as just a small piece of line blocking terrain for the city. Nice little opening on top there as well. Nice solid piece of terrain. This isn't one that's designed to come open at all. It's just meant to sit on top of the building. But yeah, it's big enough that you can kind of do a couple of different things with it.
Yeah.
Would it make a lot of sense for a storage shed to be made out of brick? Probably not, but who cares? It's fun. I wanted a small building. And I kind of like things like this where it can be used a couple of different ways.
maybe not a storage shed, but like a utility relay.
Yeah,
Power
transformer
station.
station or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's everything I've been working on. Probably. Other than, yes, I've been doing rules, and I was chatting to somebody recently about getting the logo for Hades done up officially. That is being worked on by somebody at the moment. So hopefully I'll have some things to show off that at some point soon. I will maybe have some actual official art that doesn't look like it was drawn by a 5-year-old. Hopefully. Because I'm not an artist.
What do you got, George?
Well, so I've been struggling to do some painting. Holding a brush is still kind of sensitive with my thumb. I have no grip strength with my left hand right now, which is annoying since I'm left-handed. But I did break out and do some painting, and I got the Game Envy painting handle, which is essentially a 3-part deal. The handle, the part that goes into the handle that you screw the cap onto that holds the mini with double stick, and then the finger support. And I've discovered I hate painting like this, right? It's too far apart. But I discovered if I pinch it like this and hold it, it's almost putting the mini in my hand, and then I can do this number and like brace a lot easier, and I don't have the handle hanging off the bottom. So this has proven to be way more versatile than I thought it would be. Like, this is great for airbrushing, and then this is great for just, like when you're working on the mini itself, doing some details. So
Yeah.
I started working on some of my what were they, the Volkite Berserkers, just the standard troops for the Fire Slayer army. Got them airbrushed and started dry brushing them. I'm going to do the double slop chop on them, see how that turns out, and obviously start with the basic troops first, so that they look like crap. So that by the time you get to your heroes, they look good. What else have I been doing for hobby? I put in an order for Logan Grimnar, Nigel Stormcaller, and Arjok Rockfist.
It is also worth noting that I have the Scourge Battleship box on the way too.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I was gonna do Logan, but I was looking at the Stormcaller and Rockfist. It's just like, nah, I got to get those two as well. Like, it's kind of making me. I'll have to see how big the base is when they get here, because I'm hoping they're on a bigger than standard troop base. But $45 for a hero character is starting to get pretty rich. Ooh, I wonder if that has anything to do with tariffing.
Most likely would be part of it. But this is the salty me that's going to say, hey, welcome to the rip-off that we've been experiencing for the last 15 years. You're welcome. Because there's no reason for it other than they can.
No, it's not, because the heroes for Fire Slayers are still 37, which...
Interesting.
Those are tiny little guys, yeah.
That will change at some point. That will be added on.
Oh, yeah. What else have I done? Oh, I did get a new swing arm for my magnifier.
Nice.
Because the gooseneck one I had could not support the camera too.
You need to tighten up the spring in that one too, by the look of it.
Oh yeah. I haven't messed with it much, but I figured out that having my GoPro with the macro lens mounted on top of the magnifier gives me a great top down while I'm actually like looking through the magnifier painting, and it allows me to line up my shot and have everything in focus. So when I get to the point of, like, if I decide to ever be brave enough to record my crap ass painting, yeah, it'll at least be in focus and in frame.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm hoping to have a small armada of Spanish Black Sea ships painted these next couple weeks.
Nice.
Show up. They're all sitting on my table ready to go. So I just need to.
I mean, you've only had those Spanish ships for like 700 years. It's good that they're finally getting some paint on them.
Yes, it's probably true.
They don't need paint on them. You can just throw them on the table and play with them as is right now. They're fine.
Well, they all end up at the bottom of the ocean anyway, so what's the point?
It's true.
Well, no, they're Spanish, so you know. They never finished the paint jobs in the first place.
Oh dear! If
If
you
you're
don't
from
know what we're
Spain, I
talking about, read
apologize
a
for that
history book.
stereotype.
Ah dear. All right, I
but
think that's everything for hobby.
Talk nerdy to me.
It's another one of those. There's no wrong answer here. It's the idea of, look, do you play one game and focus on that one game, or do you play a few things? There's definitely benefits to both, and I'm not talking from. No part of this discussion is supposed to be Games Workshop doesn't let you look at other gaming companies and tries to keep you distracted forever, though that is a thing that happens. It's more from a personal perspective, the benefits of playing one thing versus many things. If you live in an area that has people in it, I guess, is probably worth mentioning. Because otherwise George is just going to say, well, I kind of have to play whatever I can get because nobody else lives here. And Socks, as someone like myself that plays multiple things, I'm sure you have some thoughts in this matter as well.
Oh yeah,
because I'm sure you're already starting to see
so
the
does my
downsides. Well, yeah. Without going too deep into it, Socks, but there's definitely downsides of playing multiple things, right? I assume you're starting to see that already.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
I was going to say she probably has more of an opinion than the three of us combined on that.
It's not true. Yeah. Very, very true. But yeah, because I have so much. I have 3 historicals. I've got Drop Fleet, Drop Zone. I've got Dystopian and Armoured Clash.
Drop Squad.
I mean, yeah, soon to have Drop Squad later this year. I'm probably at 8 to 10 miniature games.
It won't be later this year. It'll be next year.
Just miniature games.
Just miniature games. Which, as we know, takes up a lot of space.
That is definitely a downside.
It takes up a lot of time, too, to try and assemble everything and then paint everything and whatnot. So, but then finding groups that play those games. Mm-hmm. I play a lot of niche games, which is hard to find groups that play those games. And so I'm having to try and build those communities everywhere I move.
Then abandon them.
And then abandon them, unfortunately. I wish I could stick around and keep the communities going, but unfortunately my Dystopian Wars community that I built in Florida is just down to one guy because people stopped coming because I wasn't there primarily.
Which is a shame. If you're someone that plays one game, let's just say 40k for an example, even though I'm not the person that's going to talk to you about why you should play 40k. It's not the best game in the world. It's fun. It's not the best. But the benefit of concentrating on one game from a playing that game perspective is that you can really get a grip for how the game plays, how your army plays. You can actually get a grip for the tactics that you need to play potentially competitively. I'm not the person to discuss about competition. I will say, if you want to play something competitively, you should only be playing that one game. You should not be diverting into other things. Because all that's going to mean is that you will never be successful from a competing level. Because that's just not possible. Unless you're one of those freaks that, I don't know, it just isn't possible. Yeah. Some people are just lucky and can manage to win everything all the time.
I'd say if you're going to be like, a competitive tournament player, I could say you could probably manage 2 games.
2 rule sets.
It depends on the. I would say it depends on the level of the game. I would say a 40k Malifaux Infinity type level game, you couldn't do that and something else at the same time. If you had something that was, I'm just trying to think of another level down. I mean, Malifaux you might get away with the second game. Bushido you could get away with the second game. But when you're looking at insane depth of tactic and really crunchy rule sets, it gets really hard.
Well, I mean, the classic argument is you could be a 40k player and a Sigmar player competitively tournament-wise.
Actually, that's fair because the games do share a lot of things.
The base concept. I'm going to throw into focusing on one game versus enjoying many. Financially,
Yeah.
So
That's a big one too.
Yep.
Someone may only be able to financially just, this is all I can do, and they may have to save 2-3 months to
Especially if it's mass
splurge
battle.
and
If you're looking
Yeah,
at 40k
but, like-
Age of Sigmar sizes of games, that's like you're silly to play more than one.
But just prime example, right? I just was it Logan Grimnar, and whatever the other two are, right? I just went and bought those, right? I've known some guys where it's like they could buy one of those like every 3 months, and Logan, he'd have to save up for a couple months to get that, and he'd really have to struggle and scrape because I mean this is not the cheapest of hobby, and yeah.
Well, not just that, but then you got all this. This is everything I bought here out of these was $250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah. That's yeah. We're just talking about.
we're just talking miniatures. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Now if you do multiples, your pants are used across. You can use them across the multiple.
No, I agree.
And stuff like that. But it's just the core investment, because how many times have you seen people where it's just like they have the Black Prime army for 2 years because they don't get any further than that. It's just one of those things. So focusing on one game versus enjoying many. As you made fun of me, Bruce. Yes, I'm going to play like a game style because that's all that's around here to play. I think at the
It is a fact of life for you.
It is very much a reality. I think the height of gameplay, I was doing Drop Fleet, War Horde, Fantasy, and 40k. And I'm trying to remember, no, not Fantasy, Sigmar.
Yeah.
Wait, no. It was Fantasy. Because when I was doing those four, when that was becoming a thing, Warhorde kind of dropped off. So it was Fleet, Fantasy, 40k, and then Fantasy died, and so we had to switch to Sigmar. And Fleet's kind of dead where I'm at. Well, it is dead where I'm at. So as far as I know, we've only got 40k and Sigmar, and I don't even think Sigmar is, because I was the big Sigmar player, and just the last few years between work and stuff like that, no, I was down there to push influence to Sigmar. So if anything, it's only 40k, and the new shop, they don't have a Facebook page, they don't post the stuff of what's going on. 40k wasn't even a thing. It was Marvel Crisis Protocol was the big game they were playing.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the only thing that stopped me from doing that was, I'm not buying another game at this point like that. It's, because what else is on my list? Well, I still want to do Dystopian Wars. That looks great. That looks awesome. It looks fun. I still want Wild West Exodus, because how many other Wild West games are there? And quite frankly, I live where the Wild West happened. Like, that should be like the hottest thing.
What do you mean
here,
happened? It's still there.
Well, while it is still legal in some parts of the where I'm at to hang horse thieves, there's no gunfights in the saloons anymore.
That's fair, but it is the 1800s
then you got
where you live.
No, I'm in the 21st century. We have electricity and cars, indoor plumbing.
But then you also got Drop Squad that you're wanting to do too.
Well, so and here's what I was thinking too, with still much appreciation to my group of nerd friends for forcing me to back that.
You're welcome.
Because I was in a situation where I was not able to actually back it until a group of knuckleheads were like, "You're gonna back it, okay, fine." I'm now in a situation where I'm thinking about doing the core and like doing like the faction add-on, like each faction add-on. So like having all
Five
factions, and maybe try to start getting that going as a community. As far as you want to play the UCM. Here's UCM. I'll play as this. And not get too crazy out, but just have like I I have to look. I want to say it's like 30 or 40 pounds per faction plus
It's
the
not
base.
bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm seriously thinking about getting all 7 so I can just have all of those. And at least, and if no one else gets into it, at least they can learn the rule set enough to where we can at least play basic games with that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Which, that's also why, more of my recent obsession has become board games.
Because
the board games it's 6 in a box. You take that box and you go to your friends like, hey, look what I've got. Let's play. And we can open up, we can sit down and play. I've bought the game. The 3 of us can sit down and play. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy anything. You don't need to, it's...
Yeah.
As fun as war games are, like 40K, yes, I said that. Drop Fleet, Drop Zone, all those. As much fun as those are, a board game, especially with what board games have become in the last, I'll say, 10 years, like, board games are hard to beat in some cases now.
I just want to correct you on something, because you made the thing about 40K is fun. Yes, I said that. I said it's not the best game. I also said that it's fun. I never said it wasn't fun.
It's not fun when the people you play with make it not fun.
Oh, I'll agree with you on that, but you can make that argument for any game on the table.
Well, that's a very unfortunate thing I had to deal with. It was a lot of people playing 40K didn't make it fun.
Yeah, I've been there. We've discussed it in great length.
Yeah. But now I'm trying to look it up because I'm curious again because I forgot how much it all was. But go ahead, continue on.
Like playing mini game, because we'd spoken at from a tactics point of view. If you want to play competitively, there's definitely some advantages for playing one game. There is advantages to playing multiple games as well. Is that it can help you with burnout. Because if you're starting to get burnt out on painting 3 million Napoleon miniatures, then, hey, I can paint an orc for a little while for this other game that I'm playing. Oh, and I've got this spaceship that I can paint for a while for this other game. Burnout will still happen, but you can always change your focus and do something else and keep yourself going. That is definitely one of the strong points. Also, if you're playing other things, games don't necessarily start feeling stale as quickly. But there is a point with a lot of games where you will just figure the game out. It doesn't matter how in-depth the rule set is. Eventually, you will figure that game out. Doesn't mean you win all the time, but it will mean that you have pretty much 90% of the questions answered. And unless it's a game that quite literally is releasing new models every week, and therefore, because this is the issue that I have with 40K, right, is that the game can never, in theory, get stale because everybody spends $200 every week to buy new stuff. That breaks the game again. It's not a good thing, just for the record. But, Drop Fleet, for example, George solved Drop Fleet 6 months after the game was out. And in fact, it didn't even take him that long. George solved the game. The lists that George was writing 3 or 4 months after the game came out are largely still being used now. Not entirely, because the game has changed since then. But
ships have been added, some things have changed.
Most FAQs were George's fault.
Yes. We can blame George.
We can. He's quite literally the person that broke the Shaltari. Would have other people done it? Yeah, other people would have eventually done it, but he's the one that publicly did it, so he gets the blame.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not the only person that figured that out. I was just probably the only person on,
You were the one that had the face.
Social media.
Game-focused podcast saying, hey, Shaltari players, just do this and you won't...
And you'll win all the time.
By turn 3.
Because I had to face it.
And what happened?
Through Levi.
Everyone started doing it, and by turn 3, no one had an opponent left.
Yep. And then Shaltari got nerfed into the ground, and they're still probably the most powerful the faction in the game.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
But I mean, yeah, that's there's definitely benefits to playing multiple games. There is downsides as well. We've already touched on financially is a very obvious one. If you're trying to buy 3 or 4 different games, then yes, it's going to be. I've mentioned this before. I quite frequently, I like buying new things. What I use the podcast as an excuse for that to some extent. It's one of the reasons why I slowed down my purchases. I haven't bought a lot of stuff in the last 12 months. I mean, I've had Kickstarters and stuff that delivered and that, but I've kept my purchases fairly minimal. But one of the things that can quite frequently happen is that if you're always going to that next thing, you end up with a growing pile of painted stuff or unpainted stuff that will then no longer see the table. Because you've moved on to the next thing that excites you before you actually end up figuring out the other thing. I mean, that happened to me. That's happened with me with Infinity like 4 times before I've even played it. I moved on to the next thing, and then I got excited for Infinity again. I started building it, and then I moved on to the next thing. I still haven't played with my Infinity yet. The move for Malifaux into 4th edition, with all of the changes that they've made for 4th edition, I believe it's 6 boxes of things that I bought have all not seen the table and are now completely useless to me in the factions that I own or in the game in general. Like, there's at least 3 boxes of stuff that, I mean, yes, you can still technically use it and counts them as other things, but the reason I bought those miniatures doesn't exist anymore before I even built them. There's a box that we ordered during the Easter sales for a box that I started. I was like, I really want to play this. I bought it ages ago. I want to play it. I need to get this mini because it was a mini that's like, you kind of needed to have it in the Force for the Force to work. I haven't got the mini from the person that did the group order yet, and it doesn't exist in the game for the faction that I was going to play anymore. This has happened to me a lot. I'm not being sour on Malifaux, even though I know that's what it sounds like, because there is part of me that's really frustrated with this. But I also see this is my fault, not theirs. Because it's my fault that Malifaux is not my first game now. It was at one point. It's still one of my favourite games, but it can't be my main game when I'm trying to develop my own. Also, that there's other things, like Moonstone is probably higher than Malifaux now, because I've been playing the hell out of it. Although I haven't played it for like 3 weeks at this point, because I've been sick, and I don't want to spread it. But that is definitely a downside. Like, it's a downside in the hobby anyway. Shiny Syndrome is we've discussed Shiny Syndrome to death multiple times. Sox is probably the best for avoiding it, and even he knows what Shiny Syndrome is. He's nodding his head very guiltily.
With my 9, I recounted. I have 9 tabletop games with my 9 different games that I have.
Yeah. So that is definitely a downside, is that the more games you play, then the more games you end up playing as opposed to actually playing.
And then sitting on the shelf.
Yeah. And what I realize not everybody's watching the video. What I'm putting quotation marks around playing as part of that, because, what games are you into? And you list off all of the things that you own, but you only play like 3 of them. This has been me for probably the better part of 8 years now. It's been me for as long as I've known you two. How many games have I bought and never played? It's not a small number.
Yeah. So I went through and mathed that real quick. The strike team, like just the basic strike team armies where you can just buy the army, are 40 sterling pounds each. And then the strike team set is 35 sterling pounds. Add that together, that's a total of $320 to get all 5 factions.
It's not bad.
That's not bad. And to get all that and then start a community, or try to start a community with something like that. Even if I go through and then spend the additional 10 pounds each of, a die set for each faction and then maybe a hero for each, I'm still, right around
450-ish?
450, 420, 450, which, just to finish my Fire Slayer army, to virtually have just about everything I need, just to fish it, I need another 328.
Yeah.
I've already got 500-600 in my box.
Yeah.
So just to put that in perspective too, of why it's better to focus on a game, why some people can only focus on a game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I'm super stoked about. Like, I really hope CMON stays alive to get that last bit of Cthulhu stuff out, because I want that entire shelf behind me full of Cthulhu, because that is the best board game ever, in my opinion. Still,
it is a great game. So I just thought it was an interesting. It's a discussion I've had in my head a million times. There was a point in time where I played one game. Like 40k was my one game at one point, because I was in this thought that was the only game that you could ever get anybody to play with you. When I got burnt out on 40k after the tournament that we've discussed to death hundreds of times, Malifaux became that game. Partially because there were no dice. What a surprise. And I loved that game. I tried competitively, but I dropped out of the competitive scene pretty quickly because I couldn't get to the tournaments because I was concentrating on other things and et cetera, et cetera. Like, life happens.
Yeah.
And then you're so far out of the competitive scene that it feels like it's too hard to get back into it again.
yeah.
And when 3rd edition came out, I kind of dropped away from Malifaux for a while because I'd gotten to the point where I was playing other things, and then the faction that I'd just finished painting, this has happened to me multiple times, the faction that I just finished painting up quite literally got killed and couldn't be used in tournaments anymore. And I wasn't even playing tournaments, but I was like, oh, well, that's it, I'm done. And that I was sour at that point. I was done with the game. Because it had happened at a point where I was just getting excited to play it again. And then it got killed, and then it was... So I was angry.
Were you so sour that you videotaped yourself setting it up in your yard,
No.
covering it in lighter fluid, and burning it like the dark elf player?
No, I was just done.
Prophetic.
And this is the thing, that person did that for attention. It's the only person that's the only time that anybody ever does that. They did it for attention.
I don't want that much attention. I'm sorry.
No, but some people are desperate for attention.
I very well know how much those armies cost when you get to that size, and I'm sorry. I don't care how much attention I don't have. I am not burning an army of that size for attention.
It was a desperate, sad person that was just looking for... It's the only reason it happened. And I was just like... I was upset with this. I'm going to be done. You know, the stupid thing is, and there's a reason. It's like, this is me. The reason that army got taken out is because it was the most broken army in the game. It got removed for the best reason that had ever happened. It didn't matter to me at the time because I just finished painting it. I just bought it, and that was the thing that got me excited to play again. And then it got taken out, and therefore I got all upset and sad because it was the reason that I was getting excited again. I did obviously end up playing Malifaux again a few years later. I'm not in that same headspace this time because I recognise the fact that, I'm not going to lie, I'm very frustrated and somewhat bitter about the fact that every purchase I've made for Malifaux has essentially become useless to me. And I mean, quite literally all of them in the last 12 months. Well, but it's my fault because I'm the one that's not been playing them. I've been concentrating on other things. That's not Weird's fault.
No, but we say whenever you buy something, they get rid of it. So just buy all of it because they can't get rid of all of it.
No, it's basically the most recent thing, like I mentioned, like we ordered it at the Easter sales and then it's gone. When 4th edition came out and I saw what had happened to all of my factions already, I said in our group chat, the Malifaux group chat, that I bet you this is going to be taken out of my Savage crew. And I knew it was going to happen because it's a miniature that has to be in the game. Therefore, that's either the first thing that you nerf to the point where it's not worth taking, or it gets removed because it technically belongs to a different faction and it was over dual factions. And they've basically removed all of the miniatures that you could use in two different factions. So I knew it was coming. It didn't hurt any less, but I knew it was coming. But the decision I've made is, and I don't mind saying this publicly, the decision I've made is that I'm not taking part in any of the playtesting for 4th edition. There's a public playtest that's been going on for a few months now. I'm not taking part in it. I refuse to take part in it. It's not because I'm angry. It's because I'm kind of in a situation where none of the crews that I have left are really really table worthy, because they're all either missing pieces or so on and so forth, or it's the one faction that I've always used that I'm trying to get away from using all the time. So I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to start again from scratch, and I'm not touching the game until 4th edition actually releases officially. And then when it comes out officially, I'll go, you know what? I like this faction. That's the faction that I'm going to buy. For most of 3rd edition, while I've been trying to play, I've been trying to resurrect factions that never got to the table. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to wipe the slate clean and start again. So why is this a discussion point we got to? I thought it's something that might help. I don't know. It is one of the downsides of trying to play too. If you want to play multiple games, be careful how many games you try to pick up, because it's a trap.
I would say Sox is the worst example of us. I would say 5 games. And I'll even be nice and say, 5 games. But if you want to do Old World and Sigmar with your 40K, I'd still call that as 1 game, because there's so much overlap in the rules and the play style with those 3 games that, I'd say break the rule with that. The same with breaking the rule with like Fleet and Zone. Like, they're kind of the same, mechanics wise. Like, but I would say if you want to have fun with the games, have good armies for the games, I would say don't do more than 5 games.
Get through your piles of shame.
Yeah.
We're not talking about piles of shame.
He mentions it for a reason, though. Like, that is, again, like, it's one of the downsides.
Yeah. Because I've had my American Civil War set for 4 years now. I haven't painted much of it. I've had my Hail Caesar set since I moved here. I haven't really painted it. I've had my Black Sea stuff for who knows how long, and I'm now just getting to it. So it's because I have so many games that like you said, Bruce, the shiny syndrome. Ooh, this looks fun. This looks cool.
You're also in the War Cradle. I can't remember what they call it. The War Hosts?
War Host.
Yeah.
War Host.
So that means that takes priority as well.
Yeah.
Like me with Entropy City, like, I'm developing a game of my own. Any game that I'm playing right now, in theory, I say in theory because it hasn't always been that way, but the reason I play them is as a distraction away from Entropy City for a while. The reason I say in theory is because I probably have gone a little bit away from Entropy City a couple of times where I've like burnt myself out and stuff, and it's like, oh, I should really do more stuff here. I should really do more stuff here. Because I don't know, I feel guilty about taking people away from the things that they want to play so that they can playtest my own all the time. But from that, like, because I'm not a competitive player anyway for anything, and I have played Malifaux tournaments, and I probably will again, but I'm never going to be, like, I don't aim to be a competitive player because I know it's not something I enjoy doing. Malifaux's probably the exception. It's the one tournament scene where I've actually, because it's a more casual setting anyway. But also, I don't have the capability of doing that when my main hobby has to be the game that I'm developing. Otherwise, my game never gets finished.
Yeah.
If you mentioned 5 games, George, and I think that's I would say that's probably an extreme, but I think that was your point, is that at most is what you meant. I would probably also argue that if you want to play multiple games, there should only be one mass battle game in there, personally. I mean, I know that some people have a bigger budget than other people, but also if you ever want to get to the table, if you're playing 40k and Conquest and Bolt Action, like, you are never getting one of those tables to the army fully painted.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you're playing skirmish games, then it's 5 to 10 each game, and it gets a little easier to do that and then move on to the next game or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, to be fair though, too, it is easy to do a Warhammer, 40k Sigmar Old World. It is easy to do all 3 of those and have fully paid armies if you just do armies with a high point cost and not swarm armies like
True.
Steven.
That is true. Depends on how you like to play as well, though.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Speaking of Skaven, there's another army that's never seen the table. I've never played 40. I've never played Age of Sigmar, even to this day. Despite having been very excited for it at one point. It never got to the table. Well, that's fine. I'm still glad that I painted them. I'm still proud that they still sit on my display back there. They're not in view here, but... Did you enjoy this conversation? Do you play multiple games or just one? What is the main game that you play? Why did you pick that? Throw the comments in the comments section, or reach out to us and tell us what you think.
About the conversation, not what you actually think.
Well, if they don't like us, I guess they can tell us that too.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
Gen Con's coming up from the 31st of July until the 3rd of August. It takes place at the Indianapolis Convention Center in Indiana. Victorious 25 is taking place by the Nunawading Wargaming Association. This is the Games Day thing that I took part in a couple of years back for Entropy City. I'm not actually involved in this one, but that is the event. It's the 16th of August from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. It's taking place at the Box Hill Town Hall, which is a decent location for it, actually. Mischief and, I'm going to say Maha, M-A-H-E. It's a Moonstone tournament that's taking place at the Bristol Independent Gaming from the 20th till the 21st of September. £17 entry, and it starts at 9:45 local time. And PAX Australia is coming up from the 10th until the 12th of October at the Melbourne Convention Entertainment Centre. So if you're not going to see the WWE pay-per-view in Perth, then you can go to PAX instead. Socks,
tell us about Valhalla Hobby.
Hobby's a great store. As you know, I got my Armoured Clash Imperium from them. So they have your small stuff. They also have your big stuff. So, and a range of stuff. And if you use the code table, that you can get 5% off of your first order. That's over $100. I've ordered Dystopian Wars from them. I've ordered paints from them. What else have I ordered from them? Black Seas. I mean, I've ordered a whole sorts of stuff. So they're a great little store up there in Wisconsin.
Lovely people too.
If you want to come and join the Discord community, occasionally you can catch the owner on and chat with him too.
Yep.
If you would like to support us, if you appreciate what we do, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $2 a month, you get early access to all of the video content that we do. I have about 6 things that I need to actually film at this stage that I haven't done yet. So they will all be going up there at some point soon, hopefully. If you're looking for any of the links to anything that we've discussed, the links to the most recent podcast will always show up on gettingtabled.com. You can also find all of our socials at facebook.com/gettingtabled. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/gettingtabled. That's where all of our video content gets hosted. There's a video edition of this podcast, which I believe is the more superior way to watch/listen, because it means you can actually see what we're talking about. We mentioned the Discord community. Feel free to join. It's not just for Patreon members. It is for other people as well. There's channels that you can discuss all these different things. There's only 2 things that are exclusive to Patreon. One is the Patreon chat for obvious reasons. That also gives them access to listen to us recording live if they would like to. And there is a section for Entropy City, which is generally speaking the first place I usually post most things. It's not an exclusive place for them because Entropy City doesn't belong to Getting Tabled. I'm just choosing to do that as a thank you to those that support us. On Twitter, Instagram, Blusky, and Threads, you can find us at Getting Tabled. There is a Reddit thread, which is r/gettingtabled. If you are not sick of my content, you can also find me at Toyreel, which is youtube.com/Toyreel. And Entropy City has a website. It's simple, but it's there. EntropyCityGame.com. Anything else, folks?
I think we're good.
we still need to work on getting the if you become a patron, you become a tabler. I can't think of a better word to call our supporters the tablers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.
Oh, that's right. His name was Socks.